1,000 years ago, there lived a man of honor and a creature of legend.
He's the greatest dragon slayer there is! I personally have seen him slay almost 2 dragons.
Haven't had this sort of challenge in some time.
Not likely to again.
They were 2 sworn enemies.
How do you like the ride so far?
I will rid the world of every last one of you.
I am the last one. If you win, you'll be out of work.
Who formed an extraordinary alliance.
I hope you like it well done.
This knight is no dragon slayer.
We made a bargain, remember? 1 dragon put down, 1 bag of gold.
Well done, boy. It's even bigger than the last one.
Actually, it's about the same size.
This time I'll collect the money and you can die.
But when the forces of evil threatened the land,
Your kingdom mine, and there are worse fates than death. Brother!
they found there is no honor
Men like you give people courage and hope.
without risk
I wanted to live!
and no friendship
For I ain't to die, you must destroy me.
without sacrifice.
I go to save the dragon! Who will go with me?
This summer, Universal Pictures presents a motion picture that will make you believe. Dragonheart.
The song that you just heard is To the Stars by Randy Edelman. It is the main theme for the movie that I'm reviewing today, the 1996 fantasy adventure film, Dragonheart. It is directed by Rob Cohen, who is nowadays more known for directing Fast and the Furious, Triple X, and of course, the last Mummy movie, which is the only one of the 3 movies I did not like. But then again, I only watched part of it once, so I'll have to give it another watch probably one day when I review the series, but that's another video. Anyway, the movie stars Dennis Quaid, David Thewlis, excuse me if I mispronounce a couple of these names, Dina Meyer, Jason Isaacs, Brian Thompson, Pete Postlethwaite. I always mispronounce his name. And then, of course, the one and only Sean Connery, who will set up a new religion in this country, call it the Church of England, even though he is Scottish himself. Eddie Izzard reference. I know I always reference Eddie Izzard, but it's hard not to reference him. He's funny as hell. Yeah, because it's tea and cake or death. Tea and cake or death. Anyway, the plot of the movie is it starts at least in 984 AD in England, where there's this rebellion going on, and the king stops it but dies in the process. His son, Einan, becomes king automatically, but he's mortally wounded in a little skirmish. And he is taken home by his tutor, played by Dennis Quaid, a knight of the old code called Bowen. And because the injury is mortal, only one way will be able to save him, and that's if a dragon were to give him half of his heart. Luckily, Einan's mother, Queen Azelin, who is of Celtish descent, and the Celts are supposed to be very friendly with the dragon. She knows a dragon nearby, who it makes it at least shows that she is familiar with this dragon, at least loosely. She goes and is able to convince the dragon to give Einan half his heart. Now, things go wrong there because Einan swore to the dragon that he would abandon everything his father stood for. In fact, he becomes a worse tyrant than his father. Bowen thinks it's the dragon's heart's fault, so he vows to hunt down the dragon. 12 years pass, and Bowen has basically decimated the entire dragon race, so now it's down to one who he doesn't find out till later, but it's the same dragon that gave Einan the heart, but we, the audience, know who it is automatically because of the voice. 12 years. We don't expect him to know the voice. Well, he not only meets the dragon, but he comes across this priest poet named Brother Gilbert, played by Pete, who is actually a pretty good poet character, and also a peasant girl named Kara, played by Dina Meyer, who her father was the one that led the rebellion 12 years ago, and now she wants to go against Einan because he kills her father in a quarry. So, with them together, they plan a rebellion eventually, but Bowen and Draco, as the dragon becomes to be called, their relationship starts off rocky, obviously, because Bowen's a dragon hunter, you expect him to be like that. But they eventually start this little scheme that I'm not going to go too much into, but it befits their situations in life. And funny, it's Draco that comes up with it. It's his alternative to and of course, them eventually becoming the ones that lead the rebellion. It's nice. And of course, Einan, he's basically a tyrannical king, like I mentioned, and he is super evil. The only thing we never see him do is kill his own henchmen. Of course, he does something just as evil, which I'm not going to say, but if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Even though it's off camera, we know he does it. And there's another thing that he does in the novelization, which I don't know if it was filmed or not, or if they cut it out, but he rapes someone. I'm not going to say who, because that would be a spoiler, but it just shows he's an evil bastard. Now, the acting in the movie is very good. The characters all did their jobs. This is probably my favorite Dennis Quaid role. Then again, I haven't seen all of his roles, but it's one of my favorite ones. Sean Connery, he does magnificent with the voice work. One of the critics who liked the movie said the only thing he didn't like about it was Sean Connery's voice, because he said it was too distinctive, but that's what I liked about it. It's a pretty good voice. That it's like the moment you hear, oh, it's Sean Connery. And the sad thing about it is he didn't really do that much voice work, I think. I think Sean, the only voice work he did was this movie, and then of course that James Bond video game, Russia with Love. So you could just imagine him in the studio really getting into it, which I think they probably might have filmed some of it at least. I don't know if this is confirmed or not. Or at least watched him. Because there's one scene in the movie where Draco comes up from water and sees these sheep, and the look on Draco's face when he sees them is like, hello. Just the way that he says it and the look on his face, it's like they watched Sean when he did that, and then they like manipulated Draco's face accordingly. It's just very good. And speaking of Draco, the CGI for him still holds up today. And I didn't know if it was going to hold up or not, because it's been a couple years since I've seen the movie, and the last time was before I really started getting into noticing the CGI and stuff like that. But upon rewatching it, like I said, the CGI still holds up, and I think it still looks better than a couple instances of CGI in movies nowadays. But then again, that's because most of the budget for the CGI went towards Draco. And this is a movie that you can see where the budget went. It's not like for movies nowadays that have a lot of CGI, but it looks half-assed, and you look at the budget and you're like, where'd that money go to? There's no ego. Okay, Pete, he does a pretty good job as the priest, and of course, David Thewlis, does a pretty good job as Einen. He's as an evil bastard to a T. And a little bit of trivia. Him and Jason Isaacs, who plays his second in command, if you know a little bit of trivia for these two, is that they go from being allies in this movie to, like, 10 years later being enemies in the Harry Potter films, because Jason Isaacs plays Malfoy's father, while David Thewlis plays Professor Lupin, one of Harry's mentors. I just found that interesting, and I just noticed that when I was watching this movie this time. Just like before, I never noticed Brian Thompson was in the movie, which with him, this is probably my second favorite role of his, even though I've only seen 3 of them. And the sad thing is that in the course of 1 year, he goes from this movie to "This is glorious!" So, to steal a line from Team 4 Star's Guru, all downhill from here. Brian sucks about your acting. We've been over this. You know who else sucks at acting? Hayden. I don't have any idea who that is. Say, this is why we need TV! If you know, I haven't seen Team 4, so you probably don't get it, but the story's pretty good, and I really do want to get my hands on the novelization now. The DVD copy I have of it is the franchise collection, because I don't know if it has a single DVD or not, but it was like $13 when I got it. It's probably cheaper now, but gift card, so I decided to get it. Even though it does have the sequel, which I have not seen in 10 years, and when I rewatch it, I'm probably going to hate it, but you never know, I might be surprised. I might like it a little bit. I've already looked at some of the CG effects in it through pictures, and they suck compared to the first movie. They definitely don't hold up. Now, I haven't watched the special features, but this is the list of the special features on this DVD. A making of featurette, a commentary with the director, and the trailers, and some outtakes, which I want to watch those outtakes. I bet they're funny. Now, I guess I should talk about the awards and nominations this film got. It only got 1 Academy Award nomination, which was for Best Visual Effects, and it lost to Independence Day, which I can see why it lost to Independence Day, but I'm at least glad the Academy recognized this film for its visual effects, because it's done by the same company that did Jurassic Park, Industrial Light and Magic. And from what I understand, there's the same amount of pixels that was in the whole body of the T-Rex in Jurassic Park, just in Draco's wing. And if you watch it, you can really tell that. And they actually used their model of the T-Rex in the opening thing when they were testing the animation, how they were going to make it better. And you could tell in the Draco, like I said, the CGI for him still holds up. And one thing, though, I really wish this film had done is I wish it had been at least nominated for an Oscar for Best Score. Because if you heard that score at the beginning, that's emotionally driven music. I mean, it did not even get a nomination. That kind of pisses me off. I mean, what? I wonder what movies got nominated for Best Score that year. There it is. Come on. Here it is. The nominees that year were The English Patient, which is the one that won. Hamlet, okay, I can see why that one. Michael Collins, Shine, and Sleepers. Sleepers is John Williams, so I can see that. But the other ones, I don't know. I haven't seen them, so I don't know why they got nominated. But I think it's a robbery that Dragonheart didn't at least get nominated. Because like I said, that score you heard is emotionally driven, which I have to say, out of all the movies I've watched, this is probably one of my favorite ones that has an emotionally driven ending. Because the music is emotionally driven just when you listen to it, but when you watch it with the ending, it actually, I have to say, I almost cried. Even though I've seen this film a bunch of times, I almost cried upon rewatching it. It's like the ending of E.T., it's like that one epic moment in Star Wars Episode 6 that Lucas ruined with the Blu-ray release, but I've already done a video on that, so I'm not going to repeat it. It just wells up your emotions so much. That's the sign of a good score if it can well up your emotions when it's supposed to. Anyway, my rating for Dragonheart is 5 out of 5. It's a great film in the fantasy genre. It has great cinematography, it has great visual effects, great acting, the fights are done well, there's good balance of practical and computer-generated effects. And I have to say, it's a 90s classic. It's one of my favorite films of the 90s. If I do a decade list of top 10 films of the 90s in general, this will be on that list somewhere, probably like in the middle, maybe towards the top. I don't know. I have to look at the list.